Part 88. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 873. 871. In the afternoon, He Tian went home, washed and changed clothes, and brought dinner over. She had to guard Huo Yingzhi at night. In the evening, He Tian had Song Chunli sent back to the Huo family's old house. At night, Zhou Yuanchao woke up. He Tian helped Huo Yingzhi go over to visit Zhou Yuanchao. Huo Yingzhi could finally feel relieved after seeing Zhou Yuanchao wake up and still speak. This time it was too dangerous. However, if Zhou Yuanchao escapes this time, he will be safe and peaceful for the rest of his life. Yuanchao, don't worry about your family or work, take good care of your health, Huo Yingzhi said, respecting Zhou Yuanchao even more in his heart, and he will be even more kind to his brother Zhou Yuanchao in the future. Boss, thank you for helping me take care of my house, Zhou Yuanchao said with a slight smile. I think my health is fine, and the doctor said I'm fine, so don't worry about me. Good brother, I'm waiting for you. Let's start a career together, Huo Yingzhi said. The results of this matter will come out in 2 days. When the time comes, I will tell you personally. Well, how are the other colleagues? Zhou Yuanchao asked. They are all people who work together. I hope everyone is okay. Your injuries are the most serious, and the others are all minor injuries, Huo Yingzhi said. I got the latest news. A new laboratory will be built soon. We will be in charge by then. I promise that nothing like this will happen again. Boss, I believe you, Zhou Yuanchao said. I'll take a good rest, and then we brothers can fight hard. Well, don't worry, Huo Yingzhi said, your parents will be here tomorrow. Hey, I feel a little guilty for asking them to go out in the cold weather, Zhou Yuanchao said with a bitter smile. Hey, there is Wang Ying at home. Even if she asks for leave, she can't take a few months off to take care of her. She can only ask her parents to come. Yuanchao, you have always wanted your parents to come over. Now is a good opportunity, Huo Yingzhi said. Of course, you are not in good health and it is inconvenient to live upstairs. I have already asked people to decorate the house you bought. Your parents let's live in your current room first. When you're ready, you can move in after you're discharged from the hospital, Huo Yingzhi said. It's more convenient to live on the ground. Zhou Yuanchao was moved and said, thank you, boss. You're welcome, Huo Yingzhi said. You got hurt because of me. This is what I should do. Boss, you also saved my life that time in the base. Since I found out earlier this time, naturally I can't let you be in danger, Zhou Yuanchao said. In the future, I can also say openly that we all died together. Friendship. Wang Ying was stunned. She had been accepting help from He Tian and Huo Yingzhi these days with peace of mind. She thought her husband was injured because of Huo Yingzhi, but she didn't expect that Huo Yingzhi had saved her husband's life before. It seems that from now on, we can no longer think like this. Wang Ying quickly adjusted her thoughts and became more respectful to Huo Yingzhi and He Tian from now on. Okay, you can rest. I'll come see you tomorrow, Huo Yingzhi said, and with He Tian's help, he returned to the ward. Boss, you should also have a good rest, Zhou Yuan said, watching them leave. Wait for He Tian to leave after Huo Yingzhi leaves? Wang Ying asked cautiously. Yuanchao, when did the boss save your life? It was originally kept secret, but you are my wife, and it is related to the relationship between our two families. Let me make it clear to you, lest we get the benefits of the boss and sister-in-law and take it for granted. Zhou Yuanchao did not want his wife to do some actions hurt the relationship between the two families. Although Zhou Yuanchao is an informal person, people who engage in scientific research are all highly intelligent. How could he not see the change in his wife's attitude? Maybe he thought that by saving the boss, he could get help from others with peace of mind. Wang Ying looked a little embarrassed and said, you were so seriously injured, I was a little panicked and confused. Well, I understand your pain, thank you for always staying with me, Zhou Yuanchao said. Back in the secret base, when we were experimenting, a missile actually exploded near us. Zhou Yuanchao talked about the thrilling scene and how Huo Yingzhi saved other people. Oh, I remembered it, Wang Ying said, I will never be petty again. Well, thank you for your hard work. I'm a little sleepy. Let's take a nap first, Zhou Yuanchao said, you should also take a nap. Don't worry about me. I will call you if anything happens. Wang Ying nodded and said, okay, you can rest. Wang Ying saw Zhou Yuanchao closing his eyes and taking a nap on the bed nearby. She was too tired. After relaxing, Wang Ying fell asleep quickly, but because she was thinking about Zhou Yuanchao in her heart, she got up from time to time to check to make sure Zhou Yuanchao was okay before continuing to sleep. Zhou Yuanchao woke up once in the night and was moved to see his wife so upset. Married to such a good wife, although she sometimes makes mistakes, as long as she tells him, she will correct herself and be good to his family. She is a good woman. He Tian has been busy at home and hospital these past 2 days. It happens to be the time for students to review. On Monday, they only need to go to invigilate for 1 day and the semester will be over. Song Chunli and Zhao Huan took turns coming over during the day, and Huo Yingjun took turns taking care of Huo Yingzhi. Zhou Yuanchao's parents came and saw that Zhou Yuanchao was awake, and they could finally let go of their worries along the way. Stepfather, Wang Ying, and I have bought a yard in Yanjing with the help of my eldest brother. You and my mother can live in Yanjing, Zhou Yuanchao said softly, so that we can take good care of you. By the way, don't you still want a granddaughter? When I get better, we will do it. When the time comes, you can help me take care of the kids. A trace of relief flashed on Zhou Yuanchao's stepfather Emel's dark face and he said, okay, I'll stay with you for 2 days. I'll go back to deal with those things first, and then come to Yanjing. Thank you, Abu, Zhou Yuanchao said, if you feel unaccustomed to being idle, I can contract you a piece of land on the outskirts of the city, or on the top of a hill, and help you work on it, okay. Okay, okay, Amel said with a simple and honest smile, I will work, and Abu will raise cattle and sheep to provide meat to aid Korea. Although this honest man could not speak nice words, he always loved and protected him with actions. Now that he is old, it is his son's turn to honor his father. Zhou Yuan looked at his mother, Yan Kui, and her son. Her husband finally reached an agreement and she should stop being in a dilemma. As they age, they can no longer do many tasks. It was good to come to Yanjing to settle down with her son. She wanted to come back. Brother, sister-in-law, I miss you. Haskaj came out from behind his parents, with a round and red face, very cute. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 874. 872. This is Zhou Yuanchao's favorite sister Hashkakaj. Kikaj, brother misses you too, Zhou Yuanchao said, Mom and Dad, come here and take care of Mom and Abu with your sister-in-law, okay. Yahaskikig nodded repeatedly, I will take good care of Urgiab. With her family here, Wang Ying finally had a replacement. Here, Wang Ying asked Hashkakaj to stay in the hospital with Zhou Yuanchao, and Wang Ying took her parents home first. As soon as he arrived home, he Tian asked Xiaowu to deliver chicken, duck, and fish, which were all cleaned up, as well as a lot of braised pork from Sanfenqiao, as well as a lot of cabbage, radish, potatoes, and other vegetables that are easy to store in winter. Yan Kui was curious and asked, Wang Ying, are you the one who decided on these meats? No, it was prepared for us by our colleagues and good brothers who aided Korea, Wang Ying said, since we came to Yanjing, we have been getting some help from the boss. Oh my god, it's the couple. Although Yan Kui has never met Huo Yingzhi or He Tian, she has always known this person, because every time his son goes back, he always talks about the help these people gave him. They are so kind, Yan Kui said, we will repay them in the future. Yes, Wang Ying said, Huo Yingjia and Yuan Chao have a lifelong friendship. Once the family is settled, we will invite them to have dinner together. Okay, I'll make roasted whole lamb then, Amal said with a simple smile. It's just that the building is too small and there is no place to roast it, which is a bit regretful. Wang Ying said with a smile, Abu's roasted whole lamb is very delicious, I can't wait. Don't worry about the small place here, there is a house outside our house, let's go there to roast it. Okay, Amal smiled, by the way, you tell us how to use those things and he and I will cook for you. Wang Ying smiled and said, okay. Wang Ying taught her mother-in-law how to use these home appliances, and gave her the ingredients and money to make arrangements. When Wang Ying delivered meals in the evening, she told her father-in-law and mother-in-law where to buy groceries. By the way, where is Risang? Amal followed, but never saw his grandson. Abu, Risang was at the house of the boss and sister-in-law that day. There were elderly people in her family who were helping to look after the children. Wang Ying said, in the evening, I will deliver food and have someone send Kikaj back. I will also pick up the child. Risang goes home. Okay, be careful on the road, Amal said, I will go and deliver food to you early tomorrow morning. Wang Ying nodded and said, okay, thank you Abu. When she arrived at the hospital, Wang Ying thanked He Tian and Huo Yingjia, and then asked Zhang Ning to see Kikaj off, pick up her son at home, and go home together. It's time to go home. Grandpa and Grandma must miss Ben very much. He Tian smiled and said, Zhou Yuanchao's stepfather and mother are both easy to talk to, no wonder Wang Ying is so filial. Yes, mother and Abu miss him very much, Wang Ying said, in just 2 days, Abu will go back. He comes in a hurry. The family's cattle and sheep are only entrusted to the care of neighbors, and they cannot be left for too long. But Abu also said, we'll deal with the things in hand as soon as possible and return to Yanjing to reunite with us. Isn't it cost-effective to deal with it now? He Tian asked. Yes, Wang Ying said, actually, I told Yuan Chao that we are not in a hurry. Anyway, as long as stepfather agrees to come over, we can wait until tomorrow to deal with it slowly. Yeah, that's all money. He Tian smiled and said, that old man is quite interesting. Wang Ying smiled and said, I will also persuade Abu tomorrow. By the way, sister-in-law, you have been taking care of us during this period. Abu said that he will roast a whole lamb for you in 2 days. Isn't it too much trouble? Although He Tian was looking forward to it, after all, Zhou Yuanchao was seriously injured, and it was difficult for her to show her eagerness to eat. No trouble, this is our family's wish, Wang Ying said, you have been helping me inside and outside these days. Without you and the boss, I would really collapse on my own. This is what we should do, He Tian said, by the way, haven't you eaten? I see that you look a little pale. Wang Ying was a little embarrassed and said, my menstruation has been delayed for a few days. I doubt. Wang Ying is a doctor herself, and what happened to Zhou Yuanchao made her forget about her menstrual period. It wasn't until yesterday that she remembered that her period was 10 days late. After hearing this, He Tian said angrily, why didn't you tell me earlier? I told you, Yuan Korea is fine. If something happens to you, our hearts are really, go ahead and go check it out quickly one time. The time is too short, I guess I won't be able to find out, Wang Ying said, sister-in-law, don't worry, I will take good care of myself. He Tian glared and said, no, go find a Chinese medicine doctor to check your pulse. Regardless of whether you are pregnant or not, I will send you home to have a good rest. He Tian forced Wang Ying to go to the traditional Chinese medicine department. Fortunately, there was an old doctor there. After taking the pulse, he said, it's a slippery pulse, but the month is a little shallow, and there are signs of miscarriage. I'll give you 3 pairs of anti-fetal pills. Take them for 3 days first, and then come to the hospital. Wang Ying is happy but sad about her pregnancy. Her work situation has just stabilized, and now she is pregnant again. Her husband is still lying in the hospital and needs help. Thank you, doctor. He Tian smiled and then helped Wang Ying out. He Tian went to pay the money, then grabbed the medicine and went back to the ward together. Zhou Yuanchao just woke up and smiled when he saw his wife and sister-in-law. Yuanchao, let me tell you a great news. Wang Ying is pregnant. He Tian smiled and said, don't worry about this. I will ask Xiewu to come and watch you. When Zhongning comes back later, I will give you my wife. Go home. Zhou Yuanchao was stunned for a moment, then said happily, daughter-in-law, thank you for your hard work. Please take a long leave for work matters. Wang Ying nodded and said, I happen to have 10 days of vacation. When the vacation is over, I will take a long vacation and have a good rest. She did not dare to say that there were signs of miscarriage, fearing that Zhou Yuanchao would be worried. Okay, it just so happens that my parents are here and can take care of you, so I can rest assured. Zhou Yuanchao said, I still have a big brother here, and my sister-in-law sent someone here, so don't worry about me. When Zhongning came back, He Tian troubled him to send Wang Ying home. Back home, Amal heard that Wang Ying was pregnant and came back to rest. Thinking that his stepson was alone in the hospital, he was a little worried, so he followed Zhongning to the hospital. Yan Kui was also very happy to see that her husband was kind to her son. Zhou Yuanchao saw his stepfather and said, Abu, you are very tired from riding in the car. Go home and rest. Amal smiled and said, my son is alone in the hospital and I can't sleep. Don't be afraid. I'm afraid that he's in good health. I'll stay with you. You said you couldn't sleep at night, so I'll talk to you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 875. 873. Seeing his stepfather like this, Zhou Yuanchao couldn't let him go back. At night, Zhou Yuanchao couldn't sleep because of the pain. His stepfather Amur felt distressed and called the nurse, who said it was normal pain. Abu, I'm fine, just bear it. Zhou Yuanchao comforted his stepfather in return. This honest man taught him to be strong and he could bear it. Amur felt distressed and whispered beside him, Yuanchao, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, Abu is here, you will get through it. When I was a child, I was bitten by a wolf. It was very painful at the time and I couldn't sleep at night. And he sang for me, and I will sing for you, okay? Yes, okay. Zhou Yuanchao nodded, but keep your voice down, there are other patients next door. Seeing that his stepson liked it, Amur nodded and said, okay, I will keep my voice down. Then Amur's mouth uttered a gentle and distant song, humming. Zhou Yuanchao had heard such a tune, which accompanied him for many days and nights when he was a child. Such a tune seemed to cleanse the soul and relieve pain. With a smile on his face, he slowly fell asleep. Until his stepson fell asleep, Amur slowly stopped, covered his stepson with a quilt, and then lay down on the empty bed next to him. Huo Yingzhe and He Tian stood at the door for a while but did not go in. They heard Amur's voice just now and thought Zhou Yuanchao was in trouble, but when they came over and asked the nurse, she said he was fine. At the same time, they heard the singing inside and did not go in. They did not want to break the strong family relationship between father and son. Back in the room, He Tian whispered, it's his luck to have such a stepfather, so Zhou Yuanchao has such a good personality. Yes, he is not a biological child, but he is better than a biological child. Huo Yingzhe said, I will be discharged from the hospital tomorrow, and I will leave Xiewu here to take care of Yuanchao. I will recuperate at home and don't need two people to protect me. Okay, Huo Yingzhe said, by the way, Tian Tian, are you going to have a holiday soon? He Tian Tian helped Huo Yingzhi to sleep, kissed his forehead, and said, yes, there will be an exam the day after tomorrow, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. I will take the test papers home to correct them, and send the results, and then I can have a holiday. I will accompany you at home. You are so good. Huo Yingzhi took He Tianatian's hand and kissed it. This time, I realized a lot of things. I can't be content with my circumstances like before, and I also have more power to make others dare not move. My family, my friend, okay, what do you do? I support you. He Tian Tian laughed. You are still my best brother in my mind, as long as you want to do what you want. There is a bed on the side, I still sleep on it honestly. Isn't it true? Huo Yingzhi was aggrieved. I miss you. This is the hospital, you can't come casually. He Tian Tian blushed. It's not early, hurry up. Actually, I want to hug you. He Tian Tian faced Huo Yingzhi. Sleep, it's not honest. Knowing the husband Mo Ruo's wife? Huo Yingzhi really wants to do bad things. The next day, Huo Yingzhi was hospitalized and let Xiaowu take care of Zhou Yuanzhao. Yuanzhao, Xiaowu is left to you, he will take care of you. Huo Yingzhi said in a deep voice, have a good rest, I hope to see you at home for the new year. I will, boss. Zhou Yuanzhao smiled, I have always been in good health. Uncle Amour, you can talk to Xiaowu if you have anything, Huo Yingzhi said, bowing to the old man. Amour smiled naively and said, I wanted to roast a whole lamb, but I can't do it now. I will do it when I have time next year. Thank you, Uncle. Huo Yingzhi said with a smile, let's wait until Yuanzhao is well. Then, we can have a bonfire party. Yeah, Amour liked Huo Yingzhi very much and patted Huo Yingzhi on the shoulder. Yuanzhao is honored to have a brother like you. Uncle, you are too kind. Huo Yingzhi said modestly, it is also my honor to have a brother like Yuanzhao. Really, I am lucky. I will protect him as long as I am here, and I will not let others bully him. Thank you. Amour knew from his stepson that this elder brother was a meritorious son, and he was also a genius, loyal, and a friend worth making friends with. In one's lifetime, one does not need many friends, but one intimate friend is enough. When Huo Yingzhi was discharged from the hospital, Zhang Ning drove the car, and He Tian Tian helped him get into the car. When they got home, He Tian Tian helped Huo Yingzhi get out of the car. Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo all came to the yard, as well as Huo Ruwa and Huo Ruimin, who hadn't seen their father for several days and thought that their father had gone far away. Now they saw that their father had returned home, but he was supported by their mother. Seeing the two little balls running over, He Tian Tian hurriedly said, Dad is sick, and I can't hold you flying for the time being. When Dad gets better, I will take you flying again, okay? Huo Ruimin and Huo Ruwa stopped not far from their father, waiting with big eyes, looking at their father, leaning on crutches. Okay, Dad, where are you uncomfortable? Huo Ruimin asked, wanting to comfort his father, but not knowing how to comfort him, frowning tightly. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, Dad accidentally fell down, and his legs hurt. It will be better after a while. Dad will hold Ruimin and Ruwa again. Oh, Huo Ruimin nodded, Dad must not have seen the road and fell. Does it hurt? What does Ruimin say? It doesn't hurt anymore. Huo Yingzhi smiled, it's cold outside, let's go in first, okay. Huo Ruwa stepped forward, supported his father and said, Dad, I will support you. Okay, Huo Yingzhi smiled. The family entered the house. He Tian Tian changed Huo Yingzhi's home winter pajamas and sat on a chair. Grandfather, grandmother, Yingzhi, uncle, aunt, you sit down first, I'll go to the kitchen and have a look. He Tian Tian smiled, there were so many people at home today, and there must be more food cooked in the kitchen. Fortunately, after winter arrived, Lao Guo and his wife saw that there was less housework, so they started to help with cooking. Sister-in-law Guo is good at her craftsmanship. During this period, thanks to some of them, they helped Grandma Wang take care of the children. Yingzhe, after the results are out, do you understand something? Mr. Huo asked, hoping that his grandson could understand that in this position, you will not stay out of the matter just because you don't strive for fame and wealth. After hearing this, Huo Yingzhe nodded and said seriously, I understand, grandfather. Only when you become strong will people be afraid of you, so I have to become stronger. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 876. 874. Okay, Mr. Huo nodded, you understand, I won't say anything anymore. Yesterday, the old man called me over and told you your matter in person, so that you don't have to worry about anything near your home, or between you and when Tian Tian travels, there will be someone to protect Zhou Yu and Xiao, and there will also be 2 bodyguards there. Huo Yingzhe raised his eyebrows, knowing that there would be such a result. Grandpa, I will work harder to research better high-quality materials, Huo Yingzhe said, this is what I am good at and what I am good at. There are only unexpected materials, and there are no materials that I can't make. Others may not know it, but since Huo Yingzhe came to Yanjing, the materials he made according to the requirements put forward by the unit have been used in major projects, played a major role, and achieved major breakthroughs. These are all important weapons of the country. With these, even if there is no war, foreign forces can be deterred. Well, we are all optimistic about you, let's go ahead and do it, Mr. Huo said, the Huo family will support you. Huo Yingzhe nodded and took note of his grandfather's words. It's past time to hide one's strength and bide one's time. From now on, he will show his sharpness and start his arduous struggle. That day, Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo left and did not stay. If they stay, they can't help, so Tian Tian needs to take care of them so as not to cause any trouble for them. At night, Tian Tian was like a little bee, busy but always smiling. After neglecting the children these days, Tian Tian tried her best to make up for them, playing games, singing, and telling stories. Finally, at 9:30, the children couldn't stand it any longer and fell asleep one after another. Tian Tian poured a glass of water over and asked, Brother Yingzhe, do you want some water? No, Huo Yingzhe refused, so as not to drink too much and wake up at night, disturbing his wife's rest. Tian Tian climbed into the bed and got into the warm quilt. Small warm stove, Tian Tian praised, with Brother Yingzhe here, the bed will always be warm. Huo Yingzhe didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He lay gently in Tianatian's ear and whispered, Madam, I only broke my leg, but there is no fracture at that place. This man is not going to give up if he doesn't get an answer today. Tian Tian smiled bitterly and said, just wait until I finish the exam and correct the test papers. Ah, Huo Yingzhe said sadly, it's going to take so long. When the time comes, you can do whatever you want, Tian Tian said, that's all right, right. After hearing this, Huo Yingzhe thought for a while, as if he had thought of something wonderful, he smiled and said, okay, listen to my wife. Then you can sleep now, Tian Tian said, lie down first and then I'll turn off the light. Okay, Huo Yingzhe lay down obediently. When Tian Tian turned off the lights and couldn't hold Tian Tian sideways, he kept holding her hand. Tian Tian was really tired during this period and fell asleep quickly. The next day happened to be the day of the exam. Tian Tian received the test paper, went to the lecture theater, and asked teacher Xiao Chen to come over to help invigilate the exam. After all, there were a lot of people, and Tian Tian couldn't stand it alone. Before handing out the test papers, Tian Tian looked at everyone and said, as long as you listen carefully to the lectures, you can pass the test. Don't worry, everyone. Before the test, I emphasized that cheating is not allowed. If I find out, you will get 0 points, enter the archives and become a lifelong stain. He Tian is usually very kind, but when it comes to matters of principle, he will never compromise or let go. There are some small thoughts below, but I don't dare to have them. He Tian handed out the test papers and everyone started taking the exam. He Tian's eyes scanned everyone, like a radar. Anyone who had Dong Zhang's hope would immediately receive He Tian's eyes. Teacher Xiao Chen, this is the first time he has seen such a serious He Tian. Usually in the office, teacher he talks and laughs and has a good relationship with everyone. No wonder teacher he can teach such excellent students. After 2 classes, He Tian collected the test papers. When he arrived at the office, He Tian began to correct the test papers seriously, even neglecting the usual time for snacks. Teacher Xiao Chen took out a few walnuts and handed them over and said, "Teacher He, eat some walnuts to replenish your brain. Correcting test papers is also very tiring." He Tian raised her head, stretched her muscles, and took the walnuts handed over by teacher Xiao Chen. "Thank you," He Tian thanked him, and then squeezed hard, and the outer shells of the 3 walnuts in his hand broke. Teacher Xiao Chen held a small tool in his hand and asked He Tian to squeeze walnuts. Seeing how strong He Tian was, she was shocked and said, "Teacher He, you can actually crush walnut shells with your bare hands." "Haha," He Tian smiled coquettishly, "I eat a lot, so I am strong." Then teacher De Chen eats a lot, and he is a man. "He can't even crush walnuts," teacher Xiao Chen asked again. Just as teacher Lu and teacher De Chen came over, "Teacher De Chen, can you crush walnuts with your bare hands?" "It's so hard, who can squeeze it?" Teacher De Chen felt deflated in the morning and was worried that teacher Xiao Chen would let him try again and it would be embarrassing if he couldn't crush it. Teacher Xiao Chen pointed at He Tian and said, "Teacher he can do it, look at the walnuts in her hand." He Tian didn't care. She ate walnuts and said with a smile, "Oh, I went to the countryside to be an educated youth when I was 15. I have to work every day. I have no energy to complete the task and have no food to eat." "Ah," teacher Lu was surprised, "Teacher He, can you really crush it?" He Tian smiled, walked over and took a few more walnuts, and said, "Then I will borrow flowers to offer to Buddha, use teacher Xiao Chen's walnuts, and treat everyone to eat walnuts." After that, bang bang bang. All the walnut shells on teacher Chen's table were crushed. "Teacher He, have you ever practiced internal martial arts?" teacher De Chen asked. He was fascinated by martial arts novels recently. "Yes, teacher He, you are so powerful," teacher Lu echoed, "you are the strongest and strongest person I have ever seen." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 877. 875. He Tian smiled, shook his head and laughed. "I have never practiced martial arts. When I was a young man who went to the countryside, I worked hard, became stronger, ran faster, traveled faster, and didn't do anything else. Don't make blind guesses. If you are still curious, just think that I am gifted," He Tian explained. "Okay, I've eaten the walnuts, it's time for me to grade the test papers, and try to grade them as soon as possible so that I can take a vacation and enjoy the vacation." He Tian did not tell everyone that her husband's accident had happened. After all, it was confidential and could not be discussed casually. Moreover, she did not want others to disturb her husband's rest. "Yeah, hurry up and work," teacher Lu said, "I hope we can finish it soon. It's vacation and we can have a good rest." "Start work," others echoed. With a little something in his stomach, He Tian became more efficient and corrected more than a dozen papers in a short time. By lunchtime, half of the papers had been corrected. "It's time to eat, let's go to the cafeteria quickly," He Tian said, "try to eat well in the shortest time. I estimate that I will have an hour to mark the test papers when I get back." Several people moved faster because of He Tian's urging. He Tian Tian was hungry and was inefficient in doing things, so she ate 3 bowls of rice at noon today. Haha, you see, you can be very strong even if you eat so much of me. He Tian Tian smiled. When I was an educated youth, the food given out was not enough to eat, so I climbed mountains to hunt and went down to the river to catch fish all day long, to be able to barely eat enough. You have a big appetite. Teacher Lu smiled. Not only is she the strongest among the women I know, but she also has the biggest appetite. Fortunately, your family is in good condition. If it were an ordinary family, it would probably be very poor. Who says it isn't? He Tian Tian said with a smile. After eating and drinking, she joined everyone in the office. Teacher Xiao Chen smiled and said, I used to think Teacher He was a noble peony flower, but now. How are you now? Are you disappointed? In fact, it's just a dog's tail flower. He Tian Tian smiled and asked. No, Xiao Chen retorted, like the morning glories on the roadside, they are beautiful, but they are full of kindness and are very easy to get along with. Yes, I also think Teacher He is easy to get along with and is a good teacher. Teacher Lu said with a smile. Xiao Chen, learn more from Teacher He in the future. It will be of great use in the future, especially when it comes to looking at men. 10 of you will be better than not with Teacher He. Hey, this is what I admire most about Teacher He. He and his wife have been married for so many years, and they only have eyes for each other, and they are extremely loving. Xiao Chen agreed. Not to mention finding someone like that, I can find someone as good as 1/10 like this. Man, I am willing to. Teacher Xiao Chen is a good girl, she will definitely know how to do it. He Tian Tian smiled, and just as he was talking, a student walked towards them and kept staring at them. He Tian Tian didn't care. Teacher Xiao Chen had a good look and whispered, Teacher He, do you know that student? Why are you always staring at you? He Tian Tian frowned and thought about it. It was indeed a bit familiar, but she couldn't remember where she saw it. I don't know. He Tian Tian said, why don't you hurry up? I can't wait to get back to the office. Let's go, don't worry about those things, let them see if they want to see. Anyway, we are good looking, so we are not afraid to see. The group returned to the office and didn't take Ning Huiwei seriously. Ning Huiwei looked at He Tianatian's back. He Tianatian's clothes were so beautiful. She wanted to buy them, but she didn't know where to buy them. And that hair, why is it so smooth? Even if it is not tied up, it does not look messy in the wind, but rather elegant. When she goes back, she wants to try it too. The breeze blows, and the long hair flutters. He must like it. Ever since she learned how to dress up like He Tian Tian, fourth young master Tang really looked at her in a different light, treated her better and gave her more money and things. In order to win fourth young master Tang's heart, she often went to studios that made custom clothes. She spent a lot of money, but the results were good. Ning Huiwei thought, He Tian Tian didn't know and didn't want to know. He Tian Tian would never be willing to associate with such a woman in her life. She only wanted to serve others with sex and destroy their families. But He Tian Tian found out later and despised fourth young master Tang even more. Even if the red flag does not fall down at home and the red flag flutters outside, we are not afraid that the iron pillars will be ground into embroidery needles. After He Tian Tian returned, she continued to correct the test papers. When the time came, she immediately went to collect the test papers and prepare for the exam. There is only one session in the afternoon. It went smoothly and no one cheated, which made He Tian Tian very satisfied. After taking the exam and taking the test papers, He Tian Tian packed up her things and prepared to go home. I'll see you all the day after tomorrow. I'm going home first. I have something to do at home, so I won't go out with you all. He Tian Tian smiled and said, I'll treat you to a treat at noon the day after tomorrow. Goodbye, teacher. He Teacher Xiao Chen said, and the others also said goodbye to He Tian Tian. He Tian Tian held her things, put them in the car, and drove away. Teacher what's the matter? You seem very anxious. Teacher Lu was curious. Teacher he is not usually so anxious. If teacher he doesn't tell us, we are too embarrassed to ask. Teacher Xiao Chen said, but seeing teacher he talking and laughing shouldn't be a bad thing. Okay, it's getting late, so we should go back. Well, yes, it's a cold day. Pack up quickly and let's go back. Teacher Lu said with a smile. It was really too cold in the office. Tian drives, but she always feels like someone is following her. Thinking of this, Huo Yingzhe was framed because of his outstanding achievements. Are the people following her trying to harm her? Tian speeded up and finally returned home 20 minutes later. Tian came back in a hurry, but she didn't dare to show it in front of Grandma Wang's children. Instead, she said hello and went straight into the house. What's wrong? Huo Yingzhe could see Tian's panic at a glance. Are you in trouble? Tian frowned and said, Brother Yingzhe, I always feel like someone is following me. Will they kidnap me? Ah, Huo Yingzhe was stunned. Following? Wait, I'll ask Xiaowu to ask, maybe it's the person sent to protect you from above. Tian was also stunned and asked, how could anyone protect me? After all, I am just a small teacher and have not contributed to the country. I don't have such capital. You have, Huo Yingzhe smiled solemnly, a husband is honored and a wife is valued, do you feel that? The compensation given to me and the aid Korea is not only the leadership of the research institute, but also the safety of my family. By our side 8 people came here, plus the 2 before, there are probably 10 people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 878. 876. Tian was dumbfounded. Oh my god, the higher UPS sent another 8 people to deal with them? Including Zhang and Xiaowu, there are actually 10 people? Oh my god, her family's treatment is quite high. Brother Yingzhe, has the situation become so serious? Tian was a little scared. Do those people really want to harm us? If that's the case, wouldn't it be very dangerous? Don't worry, just live a normal life. Just in case. Huo Yingzhe comforted, it's just because my research results are too advanced. Foreign countries have not made any progress in these materials. For many years, they have been unable to make progress. I have researched it, and they learned about my research from certain channels, and they naturally set their sights on me if they want to get the formula. Tian thought about it, nodded and said, I'll remember it. Although I'm a little scared and panicked, I will try my best to adapt. You have to work harder and become so strong that those people dare not provoke you and can't afford to provoke you. Yeah, I think so too. Huo Yingzhe smiled and held his wife's hand. In the past, he always wanted to be an ordinary couple with Tian and didn't want to get involved in those worldly things. However, worldly things cannot be avoided by avoiding them, because being born in the secular world, you have to follow the rules of the secular world. After that, he will make some talismans or other magic tools for his wife, children, and parents. If he has time, he wants to go to the dark river in the cave in the back mountain of Kijia village. There are things he sealed there. It's time to take them out and use them. They can't be covered in dust. He still doesn't want Tian to know about these things. He will give them to Tian through Huashan Kui Ying. He is still an ordinary husband and doesn't want to affect Tian's life too much. Zhang Ning went to investigate and came back to reply, Leader, there are 2 people following and protecting my sister-in-law. Don't worry. Thank you. Tian thanked her. She was a small person, and she always felt bad for mobilizing people sent by the country. This is what we should do. Zhang Ning said, if you have nothing else to do, I'll go out first. Well, You've worked hard, Huo Yingji said, letting Jiang Ning leave. Don't worry, don't worry. He Tian smiled and said, don't worry, I'll serve you well, and then you'll make contributions and repay my hard work, and I'll be indirectly contributing. Yes, as long as you serve me well, you'll contribute to the country. Huo Yingji smiled. How could his wife be so cute? Ah, in the previous life, what a bastard I was, missing each other and leaving so many regrets. Luckily, the two of them still have this life. After He Tian had dinner, she started to correct homework. Huo Yingji was fine, so he helped He Tian correct homework together, and the speed was faster. At 9 o'clock in the evening, he had finished correcting homework. He Tian was very surprised to see Huo Yingji had already graded all the papers for this afternoon's exam. She said, Brother Yingji, you are so fast. There won't be any mistakes, will there? Don't doubt the ability of a person with high IQ. Huo Yingji raised his eyebrows. If you don't believe it, you can check a few copies. He had already looked at the correct answers just now. For some open-ended questions, students expressed their opinions. As long as they made sense, they would get points. Huo Yingji also gave scores according to the situation. Therefore, there would be no mistakes. He Tian randomly picked out a few papers and began to check them. She was a little surprised. Oh, there was no problem. Oh, it's really amazing, He Tian praised. In fact, if you were a teacher, you might be able to teach more good students. Do you believe your husband now? Huo Yingji said. Don't do it now. Have a good rest today and copy the scores tomorrow. Huo Yingji knew that He Tian was very tired today and urged her to rest. He Tian was also very happy when the work was done. I was really tired today. I fell asleep in just 2 or 3 minutes after lying on the bed. The next day, He Tian spent half an hour copying the scores and checking them. Then she sorted out her things. She would take them to school and hand them over to Deputy Director Wu the next morning, and then she would have a real holiday. In the afternoon, He Tian went out to buy vegetables and snacks. Thinking that Wang Ying was pregnant, He Tian said, Brother Yingji, I will go to Wang Ying's house to visit her in the afternoon. I just happen to have some things at home, so I will send some to her. Okay, her house has stairs, so I won't go, Huo Yingji said. His legs can't climb stairs. Well, I'll be back soon. He Tian packed a lot of bags and sent them to Wang Ying. Seeing that Wang Ying looked good, He Tian was slightly relieved. Who knew that as soon as she got home, she heard crying in the yard. It turned out that it was Mr. Zhang and Ms. Zhang. He Tian's heart skipped a beat. Something happened to Huo Yingji, and she forgot to inform the elders of the Zhang family. The main reason was that the two elders of the Zhang family were in poor health and often caught colds in winter. After Huo Yingji was no longer in danger, He Tian and Huo Yingji discussed not to tell them and planned to tell them after leaving the hospital and returning to their next home. She was preparing to return from school tomorrow and visit her grandparents, but she didn't expect that they had already known about it. Huo Yingji comforted them, Grandma, Grandpa, don't be angry. Actually, I just broke my leg. It's nothing serious. I've been climbing up and down in the hospital, and you're not in good health. How dare I make you worry? If I make you two feel unwell, my mother will eat me. Grandma, Grandpa, come in the house, don't stand outside. He Tian stepped forward to persuade, it's warm in the house, you can scold us as much as you want, as long as you are in good health. Ms. Zhang touched He Tian's cold little hand and said, hey, you have worked hard these days. Yingji is doing nonsense, and you don't tell us. Haha, he was worried about the second elder's health, so he didn't say anything. He Tian explained, actually, it's just a fracture, nothing serious. The plaster can be removed in 2 months. Okay, let's not talk anymore. Let the old man go into the house and don't let the children worry. Mrs. Zhang said, we can't do this in the future. Today I learned from Wen Tao that I'm going to be scared to death. Over there, Zhang Hui stepped forward and said with a smile, Mom, I have already said that Yingzhe and Ji people have their own destiny and will not go out of their way. Yes, it is not a good time now. You are making things difficult for the young couple by raising an army to accuse them. Haha, that's right, Zhang Gia said with a smile, if you have anything to say, we can talk about it inside the house. Zhang Wenwen was playing with Huo Ruwa and Huo Ruiman in the room. She heard He Tianatian's voice outside and poked her head out, okay, you are here to visit your cousin. Don't worry or it will cause chaos. The group of people entered the house, enjoying themselves. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 879. 877. Old Guo and his wife were busy in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Some time ago, He Tiantian found that they cooked well and also took on the housework at home, so He Tiantian gave them another 50 yuan salary increase and asked them to be responsible for cooking. Old Guo and his wife were naturally happy to get a salary increase. In addition, there were not many things to do in the Huo family, so they were relatively free, much better than in the hospital, and they didn't have to work night shifts. They could take care of both work and family, and they liked this job very much. He Tiantian went there just to check if the food was enough. Seeing that they were well matched, they were satisfied. Huo Yingzhe talked with his grandmother, grandfather, and uncle, and He Tiantian talked with his aunt and Zhang Wenwen. They saw that Huo Yingzhe was really fine, and they could finally rest assured. Zhang Wenwen found He Tiantian privately, took out an account book and said, Cousin, this is the account book since the opening, take a look, if there is no problem, we will distribute dividends according to this ratio. Ah, He Tiantian was surprised, business is so good. I thought it would be good if I didn't lose money this year, but I didn't expect that I could still share money. Zhang Wenwen rolled her eyes and said dissatisfiedly, Cousin, you don't have confidence in me. Haha, not really, after all, doing business is not easy, and your industry is different from ours. He Tiantian smiled and said, okay, I'll take it and take a look when I have time. By the way, tell me, how much is our net profit this year? Zhang Wenwen smiled proudly and said, Cousin, guess, but I guess you will never guess it. He Tiantian smiled and thought for a while and said, 100,000. A net profit of 100,000 is already a lot. He Tiantian has 30% of the shares and can get 30,000. This is only half a year. It is estimated that she can get more in the next year. Too little. Zhang Wenwen smiled, guess again. 100,000 is already a lot, which is far beyond her expectations. He Tiantian thought about it and said, 200,000. That's not right. He Tiantian stretched out 3 fingers and said, 300,000. Are there so many rich people? Can a clothing studio make 300,000? Zhang Wenwen saw that He Tiantian couldn't guess, and then smiled slyly and said, Sister Tiantian, a total of 480,000. 480,000, He Tiantian exclaimed, just your studio. Zhang Wenwen nodded and said, Cousin, don't look down on me, my studio is doing very well. 300,000 is the profit of the studio, and the remaining 1,800 is the share I authorized to the clothing factory. Oh my God, He Tiantian was stunned, you still cooperate with the factory? Yes, because my clothes are out for 1 or 2 months. After that, they will imitate and pirate, and the clothes they make are very bad. Then they find me and want my design drawings. He Tiantian thought for a while and said, Wenwen, have you ever thought about setting up your own brand? I have thought about it, but I don't have the energy to deal with it now, Zhang Wenwen said, and building a factory is much more difficult than a studio. I don't have the energy, the manpower, and all kinds of approvals. Yes, then you stabilize first, He Tian said. Let's plan it carefully next year. By the way, you'd better recruit more sewing apprentices, while you can. If you train them early, you will have manpower when you open a factory in the future. Yes, so I plan to take out 300,000 yuan in dividends, and the remaining 180,000 yuan will be used to prepare fabrics and recruit new employees, Zhang Wenwen explained. Cousin, do you agree? If you have no objection, I will divide it this way. He Tian smiled and said, no objection, you should continue to invest to make more profits. By the way, it's the end of the year, don't you give your employees some benefits? Zhang Wenwen's eyes lit up when she heard it, and said, haha, I plan to book a large private room at the Sanfenqiao tea house next door, which is enough for more than 20 of us. The staff had a dinner party, sang songs, expressed some feelings, and gathered together at the end of the year. Is this good? He Tian smiled and said, okay, since we are going to do it, let's do it better. At that time, you can buy some gifts and hold a lottery. For example, the first prize is a refrigerator, the second prize is a washing machine, the third prize is an electric rice cooker, and then the others who didn't win the prize can be given a Sanfenqiao gift box worth 50 yuan. Everyone can get one and participate. He Tianation's words seemed to open Zhang Wenwen's mind, and she had more ideas. Yeah, okay, there seems to be such a precedent abroad, so we should do the same. These are all our old employees and the cornerstone of our development. Zhang Wenwen smiled. By the way, Sister Tian, do you think this will work? We are now divided into 4 departments: sales department, design department, production department, and financial logistics department. I want to select an outstanding employee from each department and give some rewards. Okay, you can do it yourself, and Xiao Yan and I will participate when the time comes. He Tian smiled, but what are the selection criteria for this excellence award? Zhang Wenwen smiled and said, at the beginning, I formulated some policies, such as in the production department, whoever makes more clothes and has fewer defective products is the best employee, the sales receptionist who sells more clothes and earns the most profit is the best employee, and so on. Well, this is very good. He Tian nodded. You have prestige in the studio and can control the situation. I've written it down. Zhang Wenwen was excited. After returning, she made a plan and discussed it with the employees in the studio. After dinner, the old man and the old lady of the Zhang family told Huo Yingji to have a good rest, and then went back with their family. It was cold outside. Huo Yingji asked Zhang Ning to drive grandma, and grandpa left. After everything calmed down, He Tian told Huo Yingji about the clothing studio, which really surprised Huo Yingji. No wonder they say women are easy to make money. It's true. Huo Yingji laughed. It makes me want to research some cosmetic formulas and start making money. Cosmetics make money, but we don't have the manpower, so let's forget it. He Tian said, it's good to have more money, but it's not good to work yourself out like a third grandchild just to make money. Yes, Huo Yingji said, but if possible, you can cooperate with Wang Ying. She is a doctor or a Chinese medicine practitioner. If you don't become a doctor, you can manage a cosmetics company. Huo Yingji never forgot this. Zhou Yuanchao could get rich by hanging out with him in the research institute, but not rich. The only way to get rich is corruption. You can't do this because your reputation will be ruined. He can't let his family be extremely rich and let his good brother's family live in poverty. He Tian thought for a while, nodded and said, if you can come up with the formula, and Wang Ying is willing to do business, I can take her with me, but I'm afraid she won't be willing. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 880. 878. Huo Yingji understood more thoroughly that it is better to teach a man to fish than to teach him to fish. They kept giving Zhou Yuanchao property or things, but this could not fundamentally solve the economic situation of Zhou Yuanchao's family. On the contrary, there is an old saying, a favor is gained, a favor is lost. Always giving one-sidedly is not a good way to get along. Now that they have the ability to give to Zhou Yuanchao and Wang Ying, they are very happy, but if they cannot continue to give due to some things or restrictions, it will make the other party dissatisfied and even resent them. After all, they had already formed a habit before. Okay, let's do it like this, Huo Yingzhi said with a smile. As for the formula, I will find a way. I will give it to you when the time comes. It would be best if you find Wang Ying to open a factory together. He Tian smiled and said, okay. I understand what you are thinking. Okay, it's late, go to bed early. I have to go to school early tomorrow. I will have dinner with the teacher at school at noon. It will probably be at 2 o'clock more to come home. Have a dinner party. Huo Yingzhi was a little envious. He also wanted to go, but his legs and feet were inconvenient. Actually, it's the end of the semester. We all have dinner together, and then we have a holiday for the new year, he Tian said. I have to catch the train back and forth this year, which makes me happy just thinking about it. When the summer gets cooler, I will take care of the children. Go to Kijia village to escape the summer heat and visit Grandma and Grandpa Chi. Haha, you have already made arrangements for next year, Huo Yingzhi said with a smile. Hey, I guess I won't have time to accompany you there by then. It's okay, just work hard at home and let us do the rest for you, he Tian smiled, ignoring Huo Yingzhi's plaintive tone. Huo Yingzhi felt a little pitiful, but thought about his future ambitions. Hey, it's better not to worry about some gains and losses in life. He Tian smiled sullenly, just like teasing Huo Yingzhi. Early the next morning, He Tian ate breakfast and rushed to the college. He Tian didn't pay attention to the people following her. He Tian arrived at the office. As usual, only Teacher Zhou was the only one inside. He was always the first to arrive. He Tian went to fetch water and make tea, then took out the score sheets of the 8 classes and waited for Deputy Director Wu to come over later and handed them over together. Teacher Zhou, it's holiday, what are your plans? He Tian asked. It's quite embarrassing to be in an office without talking. Teacher Zhou smiled and said, haha, I am an old person. Unlike you young people, I just stay at home, drink tea, play chess with old friends, and buy groceries with my wife. Alright. Haha, actually even us young people can't go out to play in the cold weather, he Tian smiled. Unlike the other 3 seasons, you can go out and see the scenery. It's winter, except for the wind. It's snowing. You young people are in good health, you can go skiing, Teacher Zhou suggested. By the way, there are several good ski resorts outside the city. If you are young and married, you can try it. He Tian felt a little regretful. If it had been before, He Tian might have taken Huo Yingzhi with her. But now Huo Yingzhi's leg is broken and it's difficult to walk, let alone ski. Suddenly, He Tian thought of a perfect idea. Oh my gosh, doesn't her house have a swimming pool? It's quite big and can be filled with water and turned into a skating rink, so you can play with your children at home. If the weather is nice, you can play with your children. Well, that's a good idea, He Tian said. He Tian couldn't wait. After a while, Teacher Ma, Teacher Xiao Chen, and Teacher De Chen came and took out their score sheets and handed them to Deputy Director Wu. Deputy Director Wu said a few words of encouragement to everyone and told them that they could go home for the holidays. Coming out of Deputy Director Wu's office, Teacher Xiao Chen was very excited and said, "It's great. I can finally have a holiday. I want to read novels at home." Then you should go to the library to borrow more books, He Tian suggested. It seems that the library will be closed this afternoon. Haha, I have read all the novels in the library. My former friends sent them to me from Xiangjiang. Although they are in traditional Chinese characters, I can understand them. Oops, I really envy the love in novels, Teacher Xiao Chen was fascinated and said that comparison showed that she felt that she could no longer look down on men in real life. Teacher Lu clicked Teacher Xiao Chen's forehead and said, "You live in novels. Although the things written in those novels are not all false, they are also many kinds of love and happiness, woven into a couple of men and women. You of course it feels wonderful and sweet after watching it." "Yes, Teacher Xiao Chen, just look at it, but being obsessed with it is not good." Teacher De Chen also smiled. "No, I believe that love in novels exists. There is one right in front of us." Teacher Xiao Chen insisted, "although teacher he doesn't talk much, every time he talks about his husband, it is full of affection. Teacher he's partner even regarded her as an eyeball. Let me count for you. Teacher he is beautiful and talented. Then teacher he's partner is even more handsome, rich, charming, and a perfect hero and heroine. Ah! Ha ha." He Tian Tian smiled coquettishly, "Just read the novel, don't just put me in." "I'm just imagining it." Teacher Xiao Chen smiled, let's go to a Hunan restaurant today. This time, teacher he will treat me to a big restaurant." "Haha, yes." Teacher De Chen said, "I haven't eaten breakfast yet, I'm just thinking about the lunch party." He Tian Tian drove and the group arrived at the Hunan restaurant. This time, they ordered some dishes they hadn't tried last time. It's really enjoyable to eat these spicy dishes on a cold day. Because everyone knows that He Tian Tian has a good appetite, so this time He Tian Tian was not embarrassed and ordered 3 bowls of rice. During the period, He Tian Tian had tea instead of wine and said, "I hope our colleagues will have smooth work next year. At the same time, I would like to thank everyone for their concern and care for me. Let's have a drink with tea instead of wine." "Teacher he, you're welcome. Come on, let's have tea instead of wine." Teacher Lu agreed, "It's rare that we get along well with each other in this office. Unlike other departments, people who are infighting all day long are really annoying." "What's wrong?" Xiao Chen looked at Teacher Lu with eyes full of gossip. "What's the news in school?" Teacher Lu swallowed the food in his mouth and lowered his voice. "I heard that some time ago someone came to the school to select people to shoot movies. You fought for me, but it seemed that it finally fell on a person named Ning Huiwei. The other teachers all wanted to ask my student to take the exam but was not chosen. But later I heard that Ning Huiwei was chosen because there was someone behind her." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 881. 879. Although such things are not as obvious as in later generations, they have begun to emerge, and many people understand the so-called unspoken rules of the industry. Ning Huiwei, Teacher Xiao Chen thought for a while and said hurriedly, "I remembered who it was, a sophomore majoring in performance. Teacher he, the female student who stared at you that day." "Ah," He Tian Tian was stunned, "it's that student. But I'm quite curious. I don't know why she's staring at me. She's not my student, and I don't know her." Teacher De Chen smiled and said, "A beautiful woman is extremely jealous when she sees a beautiful woman." Yes, that's it." Teacher Xiao Chen said, "I later observed Ning Huiwei and found that she was imitating Teacher He, especially Teacher He's walking." "Ahem," He Tian Tian choked, "you can't even walk on 2 legs. What's there to imitate? You're not a model." Teacher Xiao Chen chuckled and said, "You don't know that, Teacher He. Although your walk is not swaying, you are very rhythmic, isn't it, Teacher Lu?" "Yes, that's true." Teacher Lu smiled and said, "Anyway, I heard privately that many female students imitate Teacher He's dress. Teacher He wears different clothes every time he comes to school, and Teacher He's shoes there are too many to count. Teacher He's skin is so delicate and fair, and Teacher He's figure." "Ahem," He Tian Tian was choked again, Stop it. Teacher Lu, Teacher Xiao Chen, I won't let you arrange my work like this. Haha, Teacher De Chen smiled, Mr. Lu, Teacher Xiao Chen didn't arrange it for you. If you don't believe it, you can ask in private. Who in our Huaxia Film Academy doesn't know Teacher He from the Department of Opera, Film, and Television Literature? Your dress, makeup, and behavior have become a model for students to imitate, and you are a goddess in the eyes of boys. Yes, that's what Teacher De Chen said. Teacher Xiao Chen agreed, anyway, almost everyone doesn't know you now, and you're Yellow Beetle. He Tian smiled and said, I didn't expect that I would be so high profile in school. You have been high profile since the first day, so after one semester, everyone has gotten used to it. Teacher Xiao Chen said with a smile, you are the person in charge of appearance in our department and lead the fashion trend of the film school. What kind of fashion trend do I have? Some of my clothes were selected for me by my mother, and they are all conservative. Some of them are made by studios owned by my classmates. They are custom-made clothes for women from relatively good families. You guys, I'm a little embarrassed to say that He Tian couldn't laugh or cry. Although she was confident now, she was still very simple at heart. Upon hearing this, Teacher Lu asked, customized clothes, are you talking about a tailor shop? It's not a tailor shop in the traditional sense. I told you last time, but you didn't go there, right? He Tian asked, it's almost the Chinese New Year. It's a good deal to order a winter coat that can be worn for many years. I didn't go last time, please write me an address again and I'll go over and have a look when I have time. Teacher Lu said, she also had to take good care of herself. When Teacher Zhou and Teacher De Chen saw them talking about women, they did not interrupt and whispered some things in the school. Everyone enjoyed the meal. He Tian paid the bill and sent everyone to school. The Chinese New Year is coming soon. I'll give you a box of candies and wish you all a happy new year. He Tian smiled and took out 4 boxes of beautifully packaged candies from the trunk and distributed them to 4 people. Haha, thank you, teacher. Teacher Lu said with a smile, when school starts, I will also give you some things. Teacher De Chen is from out of town and said with a smile, our hometown has some specialties, and I will bring some over when the time comes. Teacher Xiao Chen smiled and said, then I will be responsible for eating. Saying goodbye to the 4 of them, He Tian got in the car and prepared to leave. Because in school, He Tian's car drove very slowly, and there were very few people in the school. But when turning, He Tian still turned on the turn signal and sounded the horn as required. But suddenly, a person jumped out from in front of the car. He Tian braked quickly and did not hit the man in time. It was just the girl who staggered back a few steps and collapsed on the ground. He Tian was stunned. Why is the scene so familiar? Somewhat like touching porcelain? No matter what, He Tian couldn't hide in the car and didn't get out. She quickly turned off the engine, parked the car, and got out of the car. This classmate, how are you doing? He Tian asked, this is a girl. The woman raised her head, and He Tian was stunned. Ning Hui. Oops, we were talking about her during lunch. This man really can't stand talking about it? I'm fine. Ning Hui was also startled just now and almost hit the car. Seeing her say this, He Tian was relieved, it was not just a matter of love. He Tian helped Ning Hui up and said, be careful when walking next time. This is in school. I am driving very busy, so you will be fine. If you go fast, then you will be fine. Thank you, teacher. Ning Hui said gratefully and looked around, I'll leave first. Just as he was talking, a woman ran over from behind and grabbed Ning Hui's hair. You rag, you only know how to make broken shoes, and you are a college student. How are a college student like you different from the prostitutes in the old Bada Hutong? A tall woman scolded Ning Hui while hitting her. He Tian was startled and didn't know what was going on, but after tasting it carefully, she realized what it meant. It may be that Ning Huiwei did something immoral, meddling in other people's feelings or meddling in marriages. Now the original wife is here. What an unlucky thing, how could something like this happen? He Tian didn't want to pay attention to these things and wanted to drive away, but the intersection here was blocked by these two women. Besides, I backed the car back, but Ning Huiwei was a student and she was a teacher. When she saw others beating students, she, the teacher, walked away in despair. It didn't look good. Seeing Ning Huiwei being beaten until she hugged her head and cried, He Tian couldn't stand it anymore. This is a school, you can't hit anyone casually. He Tian stepped forward and took the woman's hand. You are being asked to mind your own business, the woman scolded. Whoever asked her to seduce my husband should beat this vixen to death. You also said, this is a school, you can't hit anyone. He Tian held the woman's hand tightly. As for your matters, I don't know, but if you hit like this, someone will die. The woman shook her hand, but did not throw away He Tian, so she turned to look at He Tian. Seeing that He Tian was very good looking, she thought that film schools were all seducing vixens, and cursed, Where are you, onion, what kind of garlic? The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 882. 880. He Tian didn't want to deal with these shabby things. She just wanted to find someone quickly and get these two people away. I'm a teacher at the school. No matter what, I can't just watch you beat the students in front of me. If you have any questions, you can go to the police station and say it, He Tian said angrily. Ning Huiwei was entangled with this woman's man. There is something wrong, but isn't the greater responsibility for men? I would have beaten the man in the family beforehand. Teacher, the woman sneered, what kind of teacher does he teach, what kind of students do he teach? They are all tatters with their legs spread out to seduce others. He Tian was stunned, she didn't expect this woman to be so unreasonable. How sad. I just stopped you from breaking the law. I hope you respect yourself. Respect yourself, the women in your film school are all rags. Thousands of people ride on top of thousands of people. The woman seemed to be madly cursing. She stopped beating Ning Huiwei and started punching and kicking He Tian. Kick. He Tian just wanted to start a fight, but she didn't expect this woman to be so crazy. He Tian couldn't dodge and was kicked in the calf by her. This woman really didn't know what was going on. She even revealed her identity and even insulted, punched, and kicked her. He Tian squinted her eyes, raised her hand, slapped the woman on the face hard, and slapped the woman to the ground. Let your memory be long. There are some people you can't scold or hit, He Tian sneered, I don't care what you do or what capital you have, but if you insult me, I won't let you go. You bitch, you are a bunch of bitches. The woman got up and was about to rush forward. The person responsible for protecting He Tian from behind had already ran over from a distance and kicked the woman. As soon as the woman got up, she sat down on the ground again. Maybe it's because the sound here is too loud and many people gather here. Teacher Lu saw He Tian's car and hurried over and asked, Teacher He, what's wrong? This woman hit a student, and I wanted to start a fight, but this woman also hit me and scolded me, He Tian said, I just slapped her. Afterwards, the school's security team also came over and took these people for questioning, and the nearby police station also sent people over. When they arrived at the police station, the bodyguard next to He Tian took out his special ID, indicating that He Tian was the person they were protecting. The police officer saw the ID and quickly informed Director Li. Director Li checked the ID again, then asked some questions, asked He Tian to take a brief note, and then let He Tian go back. When Teacher Lu and others saw He Tian coming out, they asked curiously, how was the matter handled? Anyway, it was self-defense, He Tian said, as for how to deal with it, it is beyond my control. Okay, Teacher Lu, goodbye Teacher Joe, I'm going home. What bad luck? Let's say that when Tang Qian heard that Li Gongru was going to the Huaxia Film Academy, he quickly put down what he was doing and rushed over. As a result, Ning Huiwei was not found. Instead, Wang Yang found out that a woman was beating students in school and was taken to the police station. Without thinking, Tang Qian could guess that it must be Li Gongru and Ning Huiwei. One is his wife in name, and the other is his woman in private. This is so embarrassing. You can't ignore it and go get the person out quickly. The car stopped at the door of the police station, and Tang Qian was about to go in, when a woman walked up to him. Ah! He Tian Tian. A plainclothes man next to He Tian Tian whispered in He Tianatian's ear, the man who got off the bus opposite is Tang Qian, who is called fourth young master Tang in Yanjing. The woman's name is Li Gongru, she is Tang Qian's matchmaker's wife, and that Ning Hui may be Tang Qian's woman outside. He Tian Tian listened and narrowed his eyes. Today, he was scolded in such unpleasant words and kicked twice, which made He Tian Tian feel angry. Fourth young master Tang, He Tian Tian squinted at Tang Qian, if you don't have the ability to bring happiness to others, don't hug others and cause trouble to others. The red flags at home don't fall, but the colorful flags flutter outside. Not everyone can do it. Tang Qian was stunned, he didn't expect He Tian Tian to say that to him. I was a little happy at first, but after hearing He Tianatian's words, that handsome face became a little ugly. He, Tang Qian, has never been said like this to his face. Haha, why did this lesbian say this? Tang Qian looked at He Tian Tian with a faint smile but not a smile. This woman looked docile on the surface, but she didn't expect what she said to be so unpleasant. Just two women in the police station offended me, He Tian Tian sneered, my Huo family doesn't cause trouble, but we are never afraid of trouble. Please take care of yourself, fourth young master Tang. Just now, He Tian Tian had realized that at the fork in the road just now, the road was quite wide and there were no trees around to block it. Ning Huiwei didn't run anywhere, but she ran in front of her car. It was obvious that Ning Huiwei was driving her. Serve as hatchet man. As a teacher, when he saw his students being beaten, He Tian Tian couldn't do nothing. If he did, he would get dirty. When they came to their senses, the woman hit and scolded them, which made He Tian Tian very angry and sent them both to the police station. In this case, He Tian Tian won't forgive anyone. After He Tian Tian finished speaking, he drove away. The two people behind drove the car behind to follow. Tang Qian was angry when he saw He Tian Tian leaving, but the Huo family was so popular that it was indeed not comparable to the Tang family. If it wasn't for the sake of saving face, Tang Qian really wouldn't want to deal with the two women at the police station. Arriving at the police station, Tang Qian understood the situation and also knew why He Tian Tian was angry. His wife, who was married to him in public, insulted He Tian Tian. His secret woman took advantage of He Tian Tian. No wonder He Tian Tian said that the two women inside had offended her. This matter also involved the National Security Bureau. Tang Qian was even more troubled, but fortunately it was just jealousy between women. Get them out first, and then find a way to apologize to the Huo family. Tang Qian spent a lot of effort to get Ning Huiwei and Li Gongru out of the police station. Ning Huiwei's behavior was very bad, and the school had already given Ning Huiwei a serious warning and kept her for observation. As for Li Gongru, she was locked up directly when she returned home. After leaving the police station, Teacher Lu and Teacher Chen sighed, I didn't expect Teacher He's family background to be so prominent. She usually eats better and wears better, but she never acts superior. Teacher Zhou smiled and said, those powerful people are not all bullies. This matter is only Teacher He. If it were other teachers, they would probably be in trouble, Teacher Chen said with emotion, but when Teacher He scolded Ximen Qing just now, it was really exciting. Yes, Teacher He is my idol, Teacher Chen said, that woman and Ninghui are both hateful, and the most hateful one is that man. If he could control his lower body, there wouldn't be so many things. Alas, the most innocent one is teacher he.